Scarlett Johansson currently reigns as a supreme powerhouse in Hollywood. She actually evolved from a child prodigy into the highest-grossing leading lady in cinematic history, grossing over $15,100,000,000. Her Hollywood journey has been a totally fascinating and wild roller coaster. This is an epic comeback story about an actress who spent years pigeonholed as a sex symbol, found redemption through Marvel's Black Widow, and is now chased by massive blockbusters like Jurassic World. Here is exactly how she completely rewrote the rulebook for leading ladies in showbiz. Scarlett Ingrid Johansson entered the world on November 22nd, 1984, right in Manhattan, New York. Raised by a Danish architect dad and a Jewish New Yorker mom who produced films. This rich cultural melting pot seriously shaped the chameleon-like versatility defining her entire acting journey. Even as a little kid, she had this undeniable natural spark and a fierce drive for acting. At age 9, she made her film debut in 1994's North with John Ritter, showing crazy maturity for her age. She then scored small but mighty roles in movies like Just Cause alongside Sean Connery and If Lucy Fell, perfectly laying the groundwork for her future career. Everything permanently changed in 1996 when she scored her very first real leading role. That breakout role was in Manny and Lowe, where she absolutely nailed playing a runaway foster kid hitting the road with her pregnant sister. That raw performance snagged an Independent Spirit Award nomination, cementing her rep as a wildly talented young star. Through her teenage years, she just kept leveling up with bolder and way more ambitious projects. She acted in the 1998 hit The Horse Whisperer alongside Robert Redford, and later pivoted to Ghost World in 2001. That dark comedy blew up into a massive cult classic, firmly establishing her as a totally respected indie darling, loved by all the harsh critics. Then came the exact moment that flipped her whole world upside down, shooting her into global superstardom. In 2003, Sofia Coppola's Lost in Translation turned Scarlett into a massive international icon. She delivered an unforgettable performance playing Charlotte, a young newlywed drowning in loneliness and feeling completely alienated during a trip to Tokyo. The emotional bond she shared with Bill Murray's character, Bob Harris, sparked this pure cinematic magic that hit audiences right in the feels across the globe. Made on a tiny $4 million budget, the flick pulled over $118 million worldwide, becoming an instant cultural touchstone, defining a whole generation. Scarlett walked away with a prestigious BAFTA for Best Actress, and critics universally hailed her work as a top-tier performance of the decade, totally raising the bar for young talent. Pundits were already comparing her to cinematic legends, making her future in prestige Hollywood films look like a lock. However, this massive victory quickly morphed into a toxic trap that haunted her for years. By 18, she delivered something so incredibly sultry and enigmatic that studio execs immediately pigeonholed her as eye candy, boiling her immense talent down to just her killer looks and on-screen sex appeal. Following Lost in Translation, she spent years getting pitched the exact same roles, playing the girlfriend, the mistress, or a total sex symbol. She later spilled the tea in an interview about how maddeningly frustrating that chapter was. Hollywood had already branded her, locking her in a golden cage that completely stifled her art. The issue blew up with 2003's Girl with a Pearl Earring, playing Griette, Johannes Vermeer's maid. Even though the flick scored her another Golden Globe nod and rave reviews, it dangerously doubled down on her reputation as this ethereal, sultry bombshell who was just there to look super pretty. She later confessed in a totally raw reflection about those rough years that she felt pushed into becoming this stereotypical bombshell solely for the male gaze. For the next few years, she desperately fought to escape this totally restrictive typecasting. She jumped into Woody Allen's Match Point and Christopher Nolan's The Prestige. But the tabloids stayed ruthlessly obsessed with her hotness, instead of actually praising her serious acting chops. It got desperately worse when multiple magazines crowned her a global sex symbol. Esquire named her the sexiest woman alive in 2006, and People declared her the world's most beautiful person in 2007. While those titles sounded like massive compliments, they only locked her deeper into this untouchable bombshell persona. Playing the ultimate object of desire left her feeling completely trapped in a suffocatingly claustrophobic space. Scarlett explained how she just could not shake it off no matter how hard she tried during that maddening era. It really looked like she had hit a professional dead end where her insane talent was eclipsed by her looks. Escaping that golden prison seemed absolutely impossible until Marvel stepped in and changed everything forever. The turning point hit in 2010 when Jon Favreau strategically cast her as Natasha Romanoff in Iron Man 2. Marvel urgently needed a leading lady who was simultaneously seductive, lethal, vulnerable, and totally dangerous. Scarlett fit this complex vibe perfectly, delivering absolutely everything the badass character required. The Iron Man sequel blew up into a massive blockbuster, pulling over $623 million globally and completely shattering all studio expectations. Even with Black Widow playing a smaller role in the main plot, Scarlett crafted an absolutely iconic character mixing raw power, strategic brains, and deep emotional vulnerability that had fans instantly hooked. Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige was so blown away by her killer performance that he immediately started plotting out way more screen time for the deadly assassin. They knew immediately that Scarlett had a unique spark, capable of being totally vulnerable and dangerous at the exact same time to create a fascinating duality. Then came the epic moment, making her an absolute legend. 2012's The Avengers unleashed an unprecedented cultural earthquake that forever rewired the entire entertainment industry. Raking in over $1.5 billion globally, it shattered records and established wild new standards. Scarlett was now officially a top-tier action star, but in a groundbreaking way that actually honored her sharp intellect, raw talent, and deep acting complexity. Over the next few years, she masterfully juggled massive Marvel blockbusters with quirky experimental indie flicks that really let her flex her creative muscles. In 2013's Her, she solely voiced an artificial intelligence, totally proving her crazy vocal chops. Then in Under the Skin, she played an alien seductress with full creative control, steering a narrative that perfectly matched her artsy ambitions. 2014's Lucy was a massive turning point where she straight up proved she could single-handedly carry an action flick as the undisputed lead. Grossing $469 million globally, it absolutely solidified her massive box office draw. Each smart career move pushed her away from that suffocating box, steering her towards something totally revolutionary in Hollywood. By 2019, Scarlett hit the most transformative and insanely successful year of her professional life. First off, she delivered that gut-wrenching final blow for Black Widow in Avengers Endgame, where her ultimate sacrifice completely closed out a massive era for Marvel, leaving an unforgettable mark on global pop culture. But the absolute craziest milestone was still on the horizon, waiting to cement her legacy. That very same year, she pulled off something insanely rare in Oscar history by snagging 2 simultaneous acting nominations in a single night. She snagged Best Actress for her brilliant work in Marriage Story and Best Supporting Actress for Jojo Rabbit, proving her range was practically unmatched. Those nods proved once and for all that she had totally outgrown her early days as just a Hollywood bombshell. She pulled off the ultimate Hollywood magic trick, completely reinventing herself while leveling up her global superstar status, inspiring a whole new wave of talent. Fast forward to 2021, Scarlett finally got her long-awaited solo movie with Black Widow, a project stuck in development hell for years. Serving as an executive producer right alongside her starring role, she actually held significant creative control over every single aspect of the project. From the script down to the artistic direction, signaling a massive shift in her Hollywood clout. But then Disney crossed a highly dangerous line that sparked an epic legal war, deciding to drop the movie simultaneously in theaters and on Disney Plus for an extra $30. This blatantly violated her contract, guaranteeing an exclusive theatrical window, taking a massive hit to her potential earnings. Playing hardball, Scarlett courageously sued them back in July 2021, claiming the studio's shady unilateral move cost her roughly $50 million in lost bonuses. Disney clapped back with a surprisingly aggressive, condescending, and personal statement, calling her entire lawsuit incredibly sad and distressing. The whole town instantly blasted that response as a completely unnecessary cheap shot against one of their own biggest stars, marking a truly historic turning point in how Hollywood actually does business. Scarlett wasn't just chasing her own bag, she was publicly stepping into the ring to brave a fight for every actor and creator trying to survive the new digital streaming era. Her bold stand set major ground rules for future negotiations in an industry turning entirely upside down. The messy feud ended in victory that September with a secret settlement, though industry insiders whispered to trades like Variety that she walked away with well over $40 million in compensation. Today, at 40 years old, Scarlett Johansson sits on a one-of-a-kind throne at the very absolute top of the global entertainment food chain. She is both a critically acclaimed prestige darling and a certified commercial box office juggernaut, a unicorn combination you rarely ever see. In 2024, news officially broke that she would headline the next Jurassic World movie, breathing new life into cinema's biggest dinosaur franchise. Her casting categorically proves she's still the ultimate get for massive blockbusters, even as she strategically expands her empire off-camera with her 2017 indie production company. These pictures, and preps her highly anticipated directorial debut, Eleanor the Great. Her evolution from actress to full-blown entertainment mogul wasn't some lucky accident. It was a masterclass in decades of brilliant, meticulously calculated strategic career moves. It took serious guts to turn down easy money, consistently dodge limiting typecasting, and fight tooth and nail for roles that deeply respected both her sharp brains and insane acting chops. Marvel was an absolute game-changer in this journey, letting her balance being stunningly gorgeous and incredibly dangerous without ever sacrificing one trait for the other. Black Widow broke the mold as a revolutionary hero who wielded her femininity like a lethal weapon, all while packing some serious emotional baggage and intense psychological depth. That fearless choice to drag Disney into court was the absolute defining moment for both her legacy and the entire business. She proved she wasn't afraid to go head-to-head with the most powerful studios whenever they blatantly violated her contracts. This huge move laid down a critical legal precedent for fellow actors in similar boats, permanently flipping the power dynamic in Hollywood. Today, Scarlett brilliantly embodies a fresh breed of leading ladies holding down massive financial leverage and elite artistic respect, a mix people used to think was literally impossible in show business. Her massive, transformative impact ripples way beyond her own filmography, directly hyping up a whole new class of actresses to fight for fair deals at the negotiating table. She taught them to chase deeply layered, multi-dimensional roles and flat-out reject those boring, one-note stereotypes that cap their artistic potential. Her winning streak completely kicked the door wide open for other women in Hollywood to rightfully demand absolute professional respect and proper, fair paychecks. Scarlett's epic journey is literally the story of Hollywood evolving right in front of our eyes, shifting from an industry that systematically used young women as decorative eye candy to a modern ecosystem where actresses are badass executive producers, visionary directors, and absolute bosses of their personal narratives. For the up-and-coming talent out there, Scarlett is the living, breathing proof that you can actually have it all in this crazy business. We are talking blockbuster cash, universal critical respect, serious creative pull, and total personal autonomy over every single career move. Her track record undeniably proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that you do not have to pick between being a popcorn movie idol and an indie critical darling. So that is the wild, fascinating story of how Scarlett went from being pawned by old Hollywood to getting a Marvel rescue, and now gets courted by the biggest global franchises. It is a killer, inspiring lesson in personal reinvention, female empowerment, and why you always have to steer your own narrative in a town desperate to box you in. If you loved this deep dive, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more wild behind-the-scenes stories about your favorite Hollywood stars.